lost all control. Her gravity is all that I know. She's over me. She's over me. She comes me with her hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome to the Paranormal Portal Night Terrors. I'm your host, Brent Thomas. You are here with me. I am here with you, and we are here together. All right. So we got that going for us. Welcome to the show, everybody. Hope you're having a great last day of your weekend. No, I guess it's a holiday weekend here in the U.S. It's Memorial Day tomorrow, so have a happy holiday tomorrow. Just to remind you guys, this is the last live stream until Wednesday now. So it's a new concept. And I'll do a comment on YouTube so it goes out to all the subscribers. But yeah, I'm just going to take Mondays and Tuesdays, focus on show development and other side projects that I got to get working on. And I just don't have the time to do it when I'm constantly pushing out content. So I want to develop some new ideas and new things for the shows, and I can't do it if I'm bumping into show nights over and over and over. So we're scheduling it back a little bit, giving me 2 days a week and nights as well, that I should be able to focus on these things and bring you a better portal in the process. So what's not to love, ladies and gentlemen? But we are here and the phone lines are open. 720-923 0500. Again, 720-923-0500. If you want to call in, would love to hear from you. Just pick up the phone and give me a call. If you've got something paranormal of your very own to share, hi Gemini, good to see you. It's wonderful to see you and everybody in the chat. Thank you guys all for coming in. But yeah, I'm here if you want to call in and share something paranormal. I'm all ears. So anyway, I hope you all are ready because it's time for bed. All right, so we are underway here on the Paranormal Portal, and with that, a little bit of knowledge. Let's get to some stories here. We had some great shows the last couple nights just covering cryptids. And I really love that subject too. I got a lot of great feedback from it. It's not something that I shy away from. I love covering cryptids and talking with people, interviewing people that have firsthand knowledge and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. It's a fun topic. It's also a disturbing topic to think that these things are out there. But if you missed either Friday or Saturday shows, please go back and check them out. They're in the YouTube archives, and so you can check them out and see what you thought. But they're doing very well. Lots of great views, lots of fantastic comments, and I appreciate it. Except for one guy. One guy, what the hell did he say? It cracks me up. It really does crack me up when people are just like socially challenged. What the hell did he say? He's just a dick about it too. It's so funny. Like I owe him something. But I'm going to try to find it.
This is not a valid menu option.
I'm being scolded by something. I got to say it though. Okay. So that's not it. I'm trying to find it because it really cracked me up. Oh, yeah, this is it. It says, get to the show. God, too much yakking. It's too much yakking, the guy says. Or lady. I don't know. It could be a lady or a guy. I guess I don't know which it is. But it's like, wow. Okay, well. sorry to keep you waiting because I obviously owe you something entertaining. But, I always do my best to be entertaining. But some people just don't have time for any of the pleasantries. It's like, I'm here, entertain me now. So that's always nice when we meet some of those fantastically socially challenged people that have internet accounts. And you get to hear all their garbage. So anyway, the first story tonight is coming out of South Carolina. And this one has to do with a miscellaneous kind of category, which means lots of things happen to them. So it's a very short story. But anyway, it says, I was wondering if anybody has heard of a dark or black angel. Last May, my neighbor, aged 80, shot himself to death in his shed. He had bad vertigo and just decided to take his own life. My 4-year-old son could see the shed from the front door and window, and my son said that he saw a dark angel take my friend, neighbor, from the shed. Later that day, my daughter, age 4, twin of my son, who could hardly speak as we were backing out of the driveway, said, "Bye, Joe. Bye, Joe." And she was waving towards our house. Well, how could a black or dark angel take him out of the shed, but then he was under our carport at the door a couple hours later? This older man was a good friend of ours and always worried about us, as I'm raising 3 small children by myself and was going through a bad divorce. This older man would never go to the store without getting my children grapes, cheese, crackers, ice cream, and bananas. Everyone in the neighborhood misses him so much. I just wish I knew who this angel was that took him away and what that meant. I'm just looking for an answer to know what happened to him. This older man claimed he was a liberal without much religion, but who knows? He may have made his peace with God in his last moments. Has anyone heard of this? Now, the idea of a black angel comes up every once in a while. It's extraordinarily rare, but there has been they're kind of it seems that some people regard them as collectors of souls. Now, many different religions or what's the word I'm looking for, or ideas about spirituality around the world, mythologies, I guess. And I don't mean to say mythologies in a dismissal way, but we often correlate Greek mythology, Norse mythology, and they use the term mythology, but which would imply a pretty condescending tone. Really, I really don't like the word, but a lot of these different faiths have these angels, these beings that they're not the normal kind of angels. They seem to collect souls. I think that they might be something kind of utilitarian in that maybe they collect the pain. Maybe they collect the horrible parts. And so this guy was obviously in a lot of pain, and maybe what the son saw was this angel collecting that pain and taking it out of that space. And it was represented as part of this man. But perhaps what was under their carport later was maybe the redeemed soul of that man. Maybe that man was just saying goodbye because he was about to transition and he wanted to come see the children one last time. Because I don't think that they're one and the same. There's stories coming out of, like, for instance, one of them I think was a celebrity ghost stories, but I might be wrong. But it might not have been celebrity ghost stories, but it might have just been one of those shows that talks to people. Maybe it was a haunted life or My Haunted Life or something. Well, this people went on a research expedition to a closed penitentiary, and it was quite old. There was the death penalty there, and there was all kinds of really bad people that were housed there and had gone to their executions in this place. I think it was in Texas, but I'm not positive. But what they had happen was absolutely disturbing. And that was that they were kind of going through there in a really dismissive way, skeptical way. But and I'm paraphrasing this probably horribly, but as I recall, I'm paraphrasing from my recollection. But they were looking for evidence, and they started hearing like the cries of hundreds of souls. and then the moaning and the screaming and this cacophony of noise. And it seemed to be coming closer and closer to the location where they were. And they said that they got really freaked out, and they looked out in the hallway. They were in one of the cells. They looked out in the hallway and they saw this black mass approaching. And as it got closer, they could see that it looked like a black angel. And so it was coming down the corridor in their direction. And it actually passed them and went just right past. But I wonder about that, if that is indeed what those things do, if they are charged to go to these places where there's so much pain and suffering, and possibly release that pain and suffering. Now, I don't know how to make sense of that, because I think that our pain and suffering is a part of us, but is it just a part of our human condition? Is it just a part of our earthly existence? Does it remain a part of us after our time is done? Or is that separated and our divine pure selves go on to the next world, and all of that earthly crap just kind of gets split off or fractured off? And perhaps maybe those dark angels don't always show up, or maybe there's so much of that there's just a lot of it around, and there's still these fragments, and that could account for some really horrible hauntings and things that will become these other dark entities when they, gain a sentience of their own. I don't know. I mean, I know it sounds way out there, and I'm sorry that I can't quantify this better than that, but it's just what occurs to me, because I don't know. I think if there is a perfection in the divine, then nothing is a throwaway. Nothing is discarded and wasted, because that's not perfection anymore. And I know we're not perfect, but you know what I mean. In our source, we have a divine spark, and that will always return to the source, no matter what. But maybe there's other garbage we accumulate through our walks in this life that can't go on because it's not divine. It's not good. And so maybe that gets discarded upon our final moment, and the divine part of us goes on. And maybe that's why some people, when they have near-death experiences, some report horrible places, because maybe there's so much darkness in them that they're not aligned with their divine truth, And then other people that have these NDEs go to these wonderful places and have these moments of amazing things. And so I don't know. It's just me trying to take a 10,000 piece puzzle and throw it together and see what I come up with. I mean, I don't know. I have no more idea than you do, but there's got to be something to it, because I don't know. I like to believe that everything has a reason and everything has a purpose, and there is a balance to all of this, that we're not just in this blender left to our own devices. I think that there is a higher, higher plan, however you want to paraphrase that, or however you want to embody that. But I hope that makes sense. Just my 2 cents again. But let's continue on. Those are terrifying. I couldn't imagine what it would be like to see one of those. It's gotta be absolutely frightening as hell. All right, let's go to the next one. And this one is coming from Wisconsin. It has to do with apparitions, voices, and touches. So let's see what's going on in Wisconsin land. All right. In my past story, I told you about 2 unknown entities. The story I'm about to tell you is about one entity. This experience happened somewhere around 2004 and 2005. One night, as I usually did in winter, I had an electric fireplace going while I was playing some video games. As a small kid, I was addicted. I just finished playing my games and I forgot to turn off the fireplace. So I went back in the room, and without switching the lights back on, I turned off the fireplace and ran to the stairs. As I ran, I turned my head and saw a dark, non-transparent shadow reaching for me. Ugh. I was so scared, I ran up and told my parents, and of course, they didn't believe me. Oh, darn parents. What the hell? And it says a few months later, I was in the living room and it was really late. And I decided to finally go to bed. And it was around midnight, so I switched off the light and ran to my room and again turned my head and saw the same shadow reaching for me. Well, I was scared. I never told my parents about this time because I didn't want my dad to make fun of me. That was the only time I saw that shadow, but I have had some other odd experiences while playing video games, but that's for another story. Thanks for reading, and please help me figure out why these shadows are there. I think they're trying to send a message, but please tell me what you think. I don't know. That's hard to say. What could they want? I don't know. It doesn't. Again, as fast as spirits are, there's no way you can outrun them. They move at the speed of thought. They're not encumbered by a physical body or the physics that we live in. So they can literally be someplace completely different in a just a fraction of a second. They could certainly catch this person if they wanted to. So there's got to be some representation, some reason that they want this person to see them reaching for him. But I don't know. I couldn't imagine what that is. There's so many questions that I would have just to understand what this is all about. But very, very strange. I don't know. I don't have an answer. But that is really, really weird. I think that would be horribly creepy to be running through your darkened house and turn and see a shadow reaching for you. I think what this person should do is when they are running in a dark room, just look straight ahead. Don't look to your left or your right. Just look straight ahead and get to where you're going. Obviously, if they wanted to catch the boy or girl, they would have done it. There isn't a lot we can do to outrun them. If they really wanted to grab him, they would have grabbed him. But I don't pretend to know what it means for sure. But I have no doubt that it's a symbolic thing of some kind, because they wouldn't have to just stand there and take swipes at him. All right, the next one is, this looks like a follow-up story from something else, but we'll go ahead. It's from Colorado, and it's a haunted life. It said, all right, it's me. It's been a long, long time from me posting anything here, but I have a recent experience I must share. Well, actually a couple, but if you're unfamiliar with my experiences, anyway, we'd have to find his other experiences. But it's been well over a year for me having anything post-worthy, and I've been relocating and being very busy with life. Anyway, I'm here in a new house, but in Denver, Colorado, only about 30 or 45 minutes from my hometown, where all my past experiences have taken place. The last house I lived with my mom which has since been sold and she's moved out of state, was where the most Jerry activity took place. And that's the name of this spirit, is that this person's coined the name for the spirit, Jerry. Well, recently here, I've begun having a few run-ins with the little freak like old times. Only this time, he's not alone. First, however, let me backtrack and give you a little bit of info I never spoke of because it just slipped my mind until not too long ago. In my hometown, every year, there's an event known as the Art Fest. Well, artists come and sell their work, blah, 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 but my parents, when I was a young child, had a framed picture advertisement for this event, and they've had it since I was at least 4 or 5 years old. This picture wasn't normal. What was the main portion wasn't important, but at the top, 2 rows of black checker tiles ran across, 4 of which having a small picture of William Shakespeare. My parents kept it hung by the corner window at our old house I grew up in, where my first Jerry encounter happened. Creepy? No, but this is. My parents eventually moved the picture to the head of the stairs leading down to the basement, a place that always gave me the creeps when I was there alone as a child. This is where things got really weird. In fact, when I think about it, it was only when the picture was hung there that I got creeped out in the basement. Every other time I would look at this picture, something would be different with the Shakespeare images. Sometimes there'd only be one. Sometimes there'd be an extra demonic looking face in one of the black squares. Sometimes they'd all be gone. Hell, what is this, Hogwarts? Sorry, but that never happened when the picture was hung by the window. What was it about the basement? Was there some sort of evil energy down there that manifested itself through the picture? And was it able to move about more freely when it was when it was close by? We had two dogs back then. Both dogs on many occasions broke out into a terrified whimper looking at the basement door. Well, nothing was wrong, but every time they did this was when that picture was hung there. That it was, or what it was about that picture, I have no clue. I remember one of our dogs being asleep in the family room, peaceful, happy, and content, and all of a sudden she simply jumped up as if she had been awakened from a nightmare, glared at the basement door, which was closed, and simply began growling at it. She didn't even get close. She just sat there growling at it. She did that for what seemed like 2 whole minutes before finally sneaking past it to leave the room. But back to the subject, that picture came up before my mother left the state when she was cleaning the house. And there was this was a while back now, but I remember stumbling upon that picture and instantly getting the creepiest feeling you could ever imagine. Just this spontaneous feeling of true, utter fear. I couldn't even look at it. What is the deal with that picture? I may never know because it's with my mom now, but I told her, and she said she wants to get rid of it now. I may never know what that was all about, but ever since then, I've been having nightmares, all of which revolve around Jerry. And now this other male figure who seems to be working in conjunction with him now, and I've never seen this other entity before, but he's several inches shorter than Jerry, a little heavier, and with short hair. Jerry is apparently clean-shaven, tall, scrawny, and wears a tank top and camo pants. He's a looker. This other figure, I can only tell, wears a t-shirt and baggy jeans, and I can't make out anything else. But it's not just dreams either. Not only have they begun manifesting in my dreams, but the other night I woke to see both of them standing at the foot of my bed. There's a dim nightlight across from me in the room, and all I could see were their silhouettes. They were motionless until seconds later both of them took off at what seemed like Mach speed. There's that speed I'm telling you guys about. To either side of my bed, and I moved my head quickly, and when my eyes adjusted, there was no one else in the room. So last but not least, there was this little revelation the other day after that night. I was sitting here doing whatever, and I don't even remember what. But whatever I was doing, I, for some reason, typed the name Miguel. Something on Wikipedia, I don't know. That's not the important part. The moment I typed Miguel, and of course, it won't happen now, I heard that all too familiar cough. Well, I froze, and I typed it again. And that time I heard a creak in the hallway, like someone was walking out there. I hadn't heard anyone come up the stairs. My father and his girlfriend were here, and you can hear people well when they step up the stairs. I spoke the word Miguel out loud, and instantly I got a chill up my spine. I mean, like a chill of fear, not of being cold. And then I felt this presence literally right behind me, like within touching distance. I turned to look and saw nothing, but heard almost this little breeze, like this subtle wind blowing in my room. And needless to say, I did not say the word Miguel again. Whatever this was all about, I have no clue. Could that be Jerry's real name? All I can say is I'm still at a loss. Every time I think I've got this whole ugly episode figured out, something even stranger happens. Who this other entity is, I have no clue whatsoever. I've never seen these two people in my life except haunting me in my own home from whatever the hell they come from. I haven't seen a face on either one. Well, I've seen Jerry's one time, but not this other guy's. And this other guy, let's call Bobby. So there we have it. I'm once again being harassed. After a year of thinking I was finally free of all this. Anyone got any suggestions? Talking to Jerry/Miguel has no effect, just makes him worse. But I don't know about the other one. Scary stuff, but we got a call, so let's get to this call. And this is our very own Deb Varner. Hi, Deb.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm doing good. How are
Good.
you?
I'm doing really well, thanks. Doing lovely. What's on your...
Okay, I've already told you about this, but I thought I would go ahead and call in and just tell everybody about it. It was the one I had told a story a long time ago about going into a house. It was my friend's cousin's house, and her little boy was having problems in his room. He wouldn't go up and sleep in his room. He wouldn't even go in his room
Mm-hmm.
because of spirits being in his room. So I was called in.
Okay.
And I went over there, and she didn't act like she was worried about getting rid of him. She just wanted to make sure that, he wasn't afraid to go in there.
Hmm.
So I had gone in, and I had had a long talk with spirits coming and going because there was a portal there in his room. Had a long discussion with them about if they wanted to disappear, to go ahead and keep aggravating him because I would come and go ahead and close things out and make sure they didn't go back and forth anymore.
Uh-huh.
Well, everything got good. She had told me, he would go back up in his room by himself again.
Oh, good.
No problems. Everything was fine. Fast forward 2 years later, I had lost contact with him for a few years, and he got back up with me maybe about 5 or 6 months ago. And he sent me a message one day, and he asked me if I would come over and check out his trailer. He said they were having some problems.
Oh, okay.
And, of course, this is now during this pandemic where we're supposed to be staying home.
Right.
And I might have waited except for there was little ones involved.
Sure.
And one of the little ones was having basically night terrors. Something was waking this little boy up, and he was screaming in his sleep and all.
Sure.
He was frightened. So when they told me that the little one was involved, I decided I'd go ahead and go on over.
Mm-hmm.
I went over and I had a discussion with them, just to find out basically what they had been hearing, seeing, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I did a walkthrough. Yeah, I did feel something there at one end, and it kind of left real quick. So I went through to the other end. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, I picked it back up at the other end of the trailer.
Okay.
I went ahead. I had an idea of who it was. So I went ahead and, we'll call him Mark. I don't really want to use his real name.
Sure.
I had him use a mirror,
Okay.
and did the scrying to make sure that I was correct about who it was I was picking up.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, yes, it was. It was someone that he had had a bad experience with a long time ago, years ago, who had passed. And he's basically tormenting them is what he's doing. So I went ahead and I went through and I saged the house in hopes that maybe, that would calm things down. But as I walked back through again, it was still there. So I decided I would go ahead and do a good cleansing, which is what I did. And I involved Mark in with it, and we got rid of it.
Oh, cool.
I had gotten back in touch with Mark, about a week after I had gone over there to make sure everything was okay. And he told me, yeah, everything felt better. They weren't having any problems. So we got that one taken care of.
Oh, good.
And, of course, the story with Curry Beach. A lot of people might not remember the tale about that. Everything has just opened up here, the beaches and everything. So I'm planning on going ahead and getting back down to Curry Beach and getting that taken care of. So that will be very soon.
Yay. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm glad we're getting getting back to normal. That's just been a hell of a run for a lot of us, but and especially for getting out and doing things like that. Helping these souls on.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's like I said, if the little ones hadn't been involved, I wouldn't have jumped and run like I did. I would have given it a little bit of time. But, yeah, I am glad that things are opening. Something new normal seems to be good. But, yeah, I'm going to try to get down there real soon and check on that and, find out the story, why that guy made contact with us, and see if I can't cross over the ones that are left there.
Oh, cool.
So,
yeah.
As soon as I do that, I'll let y'all know about that.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear about that one. That's really exciting. I mean, such a cool setup story. Just to kind of rewind for those of you out there that may not remember what Deb's talking about or didn't hear, she toured a museum and with a friend of hers. Who was it that you went with? I'm sorry, I've forgotten.
Oh, it was Bella from the chat.
Yeah, Bella from the chat. Yeah, and they had basically met an old soldier through a mirror, correct?
No, it was from a map of
A
Clay
map.
Beach.
Yes, that's right. And
Yeah.
and it's core. There seemed to be so much about the event that seemed to tie back to this other fort that Deb had visited before, but didn't have a chance to get into. But she's planning on going back and seeing if that's the reason why, because it seems like there might be some souls trapped there that are ready to go on.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm gonna try my best to go ahead and cross them over, but they don't need to be there any longer.
Yeah, I can't imagine how horrible that would be to just be stuck in a place, being stuck in a place for so long. Let me ask you this, Deb. Have you ever run across a spirit that's mentally ill just from the isolations and from being stuck somewhere so long?
Honestly, most of the ones that I have come across were so happy to see someone that could actually see them or hear them or make contact with them that, no, I really haven't.
Okay. It's just occurred to me
If they were to...
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, if they were depressed or anything like that before, I mean, it was like... And, I can understand that because, I mean, you figure years and years and years of trying to make contact or trying to get somebody to know you're there. I mean, on and on and on and on and on, and nothing. And then you finally have somebody that realizes that, hey, I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
I can talk to you. You can hear me. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, I really hope that that's not the case, but wow. That's intense. I'd hate to think that they were just slowly going mentally insane, being stuck in a place for so long. But I'm glad that they seem to remain stable for the most part.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or it's like I said, I mean, if they were that way, finally getting somebody there, yeah, the energy was fine. I have dealt with some who, I mean, they were upset over things, but, I mean, as far as, a mental breakdown, no, I haven't had to deal with anything like that before.
Oh, cool. Okay. And you are coming on the show, what is it, what date?
The 5th, I'll be back.
The 5th, ladies and gentlemen. So the 5th of June, tune in here on the Paranormal Portal, and Deb will be joining us, of course, to do readings on the 5th. So definitely tune in that night, and you can get a reading of your very own. So, but it's always a lovely pleasure to hear from you, my lady.
I love talking with you. You know that.
Of course. Of course. I'll
and I love sharing the stories with everybody. So.
Yeah, and I'll give you a holler this week. There's something I want to discuss with you, so I will get in touch with you and we'll chat.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right, Deb, thank you so much for calling in. It's great to hear from you, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I am envious of that. I really am, of the idea of being able to see and experience these spirits firsthand. I I think it's a double-edged sword, though. I know Deb certainly knows how to control it, but I think for a lot of people that are new to it, it's really hard to sort it out and to learn how to, gain control over it. So you kind of get this floodgates going, and you end up being a beacon and getting bothered all the time by all these spirits that are wandering around needing somebody to tell a message, have some closure, help them transition, or, whatever. And so I imagine that's the tough part, but still, I enjoy talking to people for the most part, especially older people, because of their experiences are something that are, the world is going to be without soon. That whole generation of people that are fading now. There's just handfuls left anywhere of people that were, around back in the, the earlier part of the 20th century. And so it's a great honor to sit and listen to them. And I can only think, what would it be like to have a conversation with the spirit? What could you learn? What could you, what kind of information could they pass to you? What wisdoms, and it's just amazing. I guess the closest thing we got to that is books. Books are a powerful way to communicate with a time that's been lost to us. But other than that, I don't know. I'm just kind of wandering in my thoughts here, I guess. So let's continue on. We've got more to cover here. And if anybody else wants to call in, 720-923-0500, or look up there. The number's up there if you want to call in and you forget the number. It's right there for posterity's sake. But this one is coming from West Virginia and has to do with miscellaneous. It's a pretty short story. It says, I've worked in an ER on midnights for about 10 years now, and there are some seriously strange things I have seen and heard. One stand out the most was a sweet little elderly lady I had as a patient. She came from a nursing home and was well into her 90s. Now we see a lot of, it says now we see a lot of, oh, okay, they had a paragraph in there they didn't need. Now we see a lot of patients and people die on a regular basis in my line of work. But this was so strange. My little lady was pretty slick, but was still very alert mentally. And we had made her comfortable and given medication to make her feel better. She was resting nicely when I walked out of the room and continued my rounds. While I was coming back to the nurse's station, there she stood at the end of the station looking around for me. I said, honey, what are you doing up? And she smiled and said, I wanted to let you know that I'm leaving now and thank you for your help. I kind of laughed and said, honey, you can't leave. Come on, let's get you back to bed. She went right back to her room with me. When we entered the room, she said, I think that man is waiting on me. And I looked around, but I didn't see anyone. She said he was standing in the corner of her room. Still, I saw no one there. I put her back in bed and back on her heart blood pressure monitor, made her comfortable, and then I left. It was not 10 minutes later when her monitor went off, letting me know her heart had stopped. We all ran into her room and tried life support and various other things, but she was gone. This was a shock to me. Not 10 minutes earlier, this woman was up, smiling, walking and talking to me. I think she knew she was about to die, or the unseen man told her that it was her time to go. I was very sad that my patient had passed away, but somehow I knew she was okay, wherever she went. I have some other strange stories of things in the ER that I'll write later on. Wow, that's pretty cool. Huh. The Minions out there singing again. He's such a musical little man. He's got this, I don't know, IQ for music. It's just crazy. He hears songs and he can repeat the melodies, no problem. And he tries to know the words. He doesn't quite figure it out. You got to figure out the words, but he'll do the, it's just adorable. And he does the old passionate eyes and stuff too. Like when he's singing a ballad, he'll just be like throwing his heart into it. It's so cute. So actually, since we have some of the other stories here that this person submitted, I want to pull these up. And it looks like we've read a couple of them already, but So this one is also from the same author, and she says, I was around 13 years old at the time, and I'd been devastated the year before with the loss of my beloved father to cancer. I'd always been very sensitive to the paranormal and could see and hear things that I mostly just kept to myself. After my dad had passed, I pretty much shut down and had no use for people or anything on a spiritual level. All of my ability to see and hear things was shut down as well. We had the most wonderful neighbors who were more like family and looked after me and my mom after my dad passed. Bill and Wanda were in their 30s at the time and had 2 children. Life was good for them, and it helped to know that they cared for us as well. I spent most of my time locked in my room reading, and Bill would always stop by and check on me, saying the kids are outside looking for you, to come out and enjoy the day, but I declined mostly. But soon I started to laugh again and wanted to be around people. I felt like everything was going to be okay. My grandmother was psychic and taught me a lot about my abilities. My mom was very superstitious, but never talked about these things with me very much. Well, one night I was asleep and dreamed of a baby being born to a strange woman in a hospital operating room. I had no idea who the woman was or why I was there, and this happened 3 nights in a row. Same dream. Nothing changed. Now, on the 3 nights, I woke up covered in sweat and scared. I sat up a few minutes and looked around my room. Now I am fully awake by this time. In the corner of my room by the closet was a surgeon dressed in full scrubs, masks, gloves, hat, etc., holding a newborn baby out to me. His eyes were crystal blue and staring right at me, just holding this little newborn baby out to me. I couldn't move. I was so scared. I finally got the nerve to close my eyes and open them, and he was gone. I want to state again, I was fully awake at this time. I screamed for my mom and told her what had happened, and her response was, "When you dream of a birth, a death will soon occur," and vice versa. Now, my mom is really into the superstitious, so I believed her, and she said the sad and eerie part of my story is what happened at 5 a.m. that morning. My neighbor got up to eat breakfast, got a glass of milk out of his fridge, and dropped dead of a massive heart attack at 7:30 a.m. that same morning. To make it even creepier, my dad had crystal blue eyes, and this was all I could see of the surgeon's face. Did I have a premonition of my neighbor's death? Was it my dead father telling me it was going to happen? Was it the angel of death trading the newborn for my neighbor's place here on earth? Too many questions on this one, but if you have any thoughts, please let me know. Yeah, that's really creepy. Wow. Huh. I don't know. Superstitions are tough because, I suppose things could manifest according to belief. Maybe we would get premonitions that line up with those belief systems. I don't know. I don't know if she knew about this before the dream or just learned of it after. I don't know. But I suppose if she did, she may have translated that experience into the exact dream that would make it a premonition. Or perhaps it really was a message from beyond. And that's how to interpret it. I don't know. I find things like dream premonitions and stuff to be very subjective. And it's oftentimes not at all what you think it is. Like, it's very subjective and very interpretable by the person. So, I mean, I've talked to people who've dreamed that they watched themselves die by shooting themselves or being shot. And it was like, I didn't think that there was, it was something dark or evil trying to scare them. I said, no, I think this is symbolic. I think it has to do with you transitioning and changing and becoming the person you're meant to be. And part of that is to let go or let those parts of you die that aren't constructive anymore. And the person felt that was the correct interpretation. They said that they got all these, vibes when I said it, and it just rang true to them. And so I think that dreams can be very representative and very abstract. And so it's always tough to look at the symbols of a dream and try to interpret them literally or even inversely. I don't know. I don't think it's quite that cut and dry in many cases. But if this person already had that knowledge passed to them, then they may very well have manifest that and created the dream to align with that symbolism. And that's possible. It is possible too. That's really the truth, but I don't know. It's just my experience. I tend to find that dreams are much more abstract than that. They're not quite that literal. But anyway, that's dreams, not lucid dreams, not, anything else, just the very dreams that we have. All right. So this one sounds pretty cool. Same author again. It says, I was 6 years old when I saw my first ghost or spirit. And I was riding my bike around in the basement of the house that we lived in, which my dad had built in 1961. I'm an only child, so I was very comfortable roaming around alone and finding things to do. My point here is that even at 6 years old, I really didn't frighten very easily. I was riding around the length of the basement several times. On my last pass around, I looked up and saw a man sitting on the stone and brick seating area my father built square in the middle of the basement. I was not frightened, just shocked. He was sitting with his arms and elbows resting on his knees, hunched over. He was wearing bib overalls and had a red and black checked flannel shirt and old worn work boots. His head and face seemed to be badly scarred, as if he'd been burned. I sat there for a minute looking at him, and he finally looked up at me, and it was almost like he didn't know that I was there. He stared straight at me, and this look of anger came over his face, and he said, "Come here, little girl." Yikes. Well, that's when I became hysterical, covering my eyes and screaming for my dad. I finally got the courage to look, and he was gone. I ran to my dad in the other end of the house, screaming, "Daddy, there's a man in the house." Well, he looked and looked. All windows and doors were as they should be. Dad chalked it up to imagination, as did my mom, but my beloved grandmother, my mom's mom, listened intently when I told her about the man. She told me very sternly, "If you ever see him again, run. He is a bad man." Well, I never questioned it further. I just obeyed because Grandma's word was law. Years later, when I was about 17, my mom and I were going through my grandmother's house to clean things after her passing, and I found a photo of a man and woman in farm clothing from what looked like the 1800s. I instantly recognized the man in the photo as the man in the basement when I was 6 years old. I ran to my mom and said, "This is him. This is the man I saw when I was 6, and nobody except Grandma believed me." My mom said that he was her grandfather, her mother's father, and that he was not a nice man. He was very abusive, and my grandmother never liked to speak of him. My mother continued to tell me that both he and my great-grandmother, the lady in the picture, died when their house caught fire while the children were at school one day. My grandmother and her brother were sent to live with their aunt, and needless to say, I was really creeped out that the man I saw was scarred from what looked like burns and was very angry that I live in his space. I had never seen him again to this day, and since then, I've seen a lot of paranormal activity that I can't explain. I sometimes enjoy the experiences and sometimes not so much. God has seen fit to give me a great gift for a reason to, even if I don't always understand it. I feel very blessed. Thanks for listening. It's nice to have a forum where people are interested in your experiences versus being just freaked out by them. Absolutely. And we're going to go to the horn again because it looks like we've got a call from, I think this is D calling. Hello, is this you, D? Oops, I didn't unmute it. Sorry, I thought I clicked it, but let's try again. There it goes. I think it's unmuted now.
Hi everybody. Okay, yeah, it is I. Well, we're talking about dreams, so I did have a really bizarro dream that I guess I'll share real quick. And for anybody else, it would have been a nightmare.
Oh, okay. By all means.
Probably.
but it was a very weird thing about, I was in this house that the walls were made of, it looked like the walls were made of some kind of white plastic, or were covered with white plastic, almost like white plastic bags.
Uh-huh.
And I was walking around trying to figure out where the heck I was.
Oh, okay.
And I saw this one area that I looked at it closely, and it looked like it was some kind of a honeycomb pattern,
Okay.
almost like it was made that way, but like some kind of synthetic insect made it.
Oh, okay.
Like,
Wow.
very strange looking, and I'm thinking, boy, that's weird. What kind of insect would make that?
Right.
And it was kind of the vibe was kind of weird and creepy, and it was like I was looking for something. It was like I was investigating or something.
Okay.
And I go in and I walk into a room and I see my mother sleeping, or apparently my mother sleeping as she often would, and she had her back to me. And I just sat down on the bed, and I wasn't really thinking of, I'm in a dream. I'm not thinking, oh, yeah, she's dead.
Right.
I'm just saying, oh, hi, Mom. Because she moved, when I came in, and I said, oh, hi, Mom.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at the back, and I give her a hug, and how you feeling, whatever. And she gets up and takes off. Well, it's not unusual. When you wake up, you have to take off and go to the bathroom and come back, I'm not thinking anything of it. And so she, it's like, and then she comes back, and I'm like, wow, it's good to see you. It's like I hadn't seen her in a while. All I could remember in the dream was I hadn't seen her in a while.
Uh-huh.
And I give her a big hug, and we're kind of dancing a little bit like you do back and forth when you're happy to see somebody.
Uh-huh.
And all of a sudden, can you hear me still?
I can. Yep.
Okay, good. And all of a sudden, she turned into something else.
Ooh.
It was like this thing just stuck to me, just like glued itself to me, and it had claws around me, and its mouth was near my throat.
Oh, yuck.
And it was like it had glued itself to me, and I'm like, well, this is certainly not my mom then. And I said, okay, well, you got to let go now. I'm like, now, I know for a lot of people this would be the moment of terror when you'd be like, ah!
Right.
But this is me, and I'm like, okay, you're obviously not my mom, and, and this is how, it's very interesting. I was just thinking, okay, I need to pry you off of me, and this long blade ends up in my right hand, and I grab the head with my left. And it's this very curly, almost like a flow or something, and the skin is very waxy, slippery, very, very, very slippery.
Okay.
And not quite human feeling, almost rubbery or something, really weird. And I just go like I'm going to stab this thing and try. I'm thinking, okay, got to do it right so that I hurt them and not me and get them off of me.
Right.
And then it's just like, boom, as soon as I was thinking, well, you're gone, then I woke up and I'm thinking, now what the heck does that mean?
Mm.
Because I had just had 2 clients over who had attachments, and I was worried, oh, gosh, did somebody leave a spare attachment around that I didn't see?
Sure.
What
did you find out?
Because that can happen.
Yeah. What did you find out?
Well, I thought about what the point of it was, and I think it was, actually I asked a couple of my friends,
Mm-hmm.
and I think what had happened is, I had actually peeled some attachments off of people. Somebody was angry about that and was going to try and attach to me, and it sure didn't work.
Well, that's good. That's very good. Yeah. That's the kind of thing you want to break right away. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the quicker I mean, it's important in attachments to get them gone quickly, right? I mean, the longer they're around, the harder they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
They do kind of grow roots, sort of, in a place, and they become familiar with a place, and maybe that's the familiar spirit thing. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, they get to know you better, and as they get to know you better, they can do more things to you, and they can trouble you more. And
sure.
So, yeah, I think something was trying to latch on, but it really got a huge surprise. And from my point of view, it was very positive because it means that even when I'm dreaming, I'm still aware that I can handle you, mister, whatever you do.
Sure. Well,
it's like, I can get rid of you,
Right.
But I know that for most people, that would be absolutely terrifying.
Well, sure.
Because, and I'm, wow. But I am taking it as a good thing because it proves, it makes me feel very empowered.
Sure.
That, it's almost like now I'm sure you're not going to catch me on guard not knowing what to do. You're not going to be able to terrify me like you think you can everybody else.
Sure.
And that's one of the reasons I do this work, too, is because these things terrify people, and people forget. You do have power over these things. You have the power. But it's hard to summon that up sometimes. It's hard to remember, and it's hard to, there was a time when I had horrible nightmares, and I didn't know what to do about it.
Sure. Well, this isn't your first rodeo, though, either, right?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. I'm just saying that it's possible to get that way even in your dreams. So for anybody who's having bad dreams or nightmares, right now I think we're in new moon right now. It's a good time to set intentions, and I just recorded something about setting intentions. But we've done all kinds of things with intentions. If you're having bad things happen to you, you might just set an intention during this time that you be able to somehow gain power over the situation.
Right. Yeah.
Might be a good thing to intend because, we've flattened tsunamis. We've made it, we've gotten it to rain in California. We've gotten all kinds of things to happen all around the world. People intending. So right now, intend that if you don't ever want to be terrified in a dream again or terrified at all, it's a good time to set an intention for that, and I'll be right behind you to help you if you want to ask any questions about that.
Excellent.
But, it's like, I love you all, and I just...
well, we love you too. Thank you so much for calling in.
Okay.
It's always great to hear from you.
Okay. Thanks, you too. I just love this show, and I love you guys. I really love being able to just sit down after a day, and some of them are pretty wild days, and just be able to chat with you all. I love you. Bye-bye.
All right. Good night, Dee. Take care. All right. We are just out of time, ladies and gentlemen. It's now after the hour, so we went a little bit long, but that's okay. I'm good with that. I always have time for the calls. You guys are great. Thank you for those who called. That's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure. That's my Australian accent. I'm working on it. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being a part of our journey tonight. Again, I'm taking Monday and Tuesdays off going forward, so we will be back on Wednesday with Don and I. Well, no, it'll just be me. Don's not going to be able to make it to this Wednesday's show, so it's just going to be me and you guys and 2 hours of paranormal fun. So we'll get all into it then. But I hope you guys have a wonderful couple of days. If you need a portal fix, we've got 720 some videos here on YouTube. I'm pretty sure not all of you guys have seen all of them. In fact, I don't know if any of you have seen all of them. If I wasn't there, I wouldn't think I would have seen all of them, but I was there, it turns out. So, but there's lots to check out. Also, the new podcast was released today, so check it out. Pandora, iHeart, iTunes, Spotify, and coming soon, Stitcher. I'm not sure exactly when that's going to be launching, but hopefully soon, hopefully very soon. So we'll be at it then. But I love you guys, and I hope you guys take care and have a wonderful holiday tomorrow. So be good, be kind, be nice, take care of each other, help each other out. Find the magic in every day and remember to laugh as much as you can. All right, guys, I love you, and I'll see you in just a few days. So be good. If you want to reach out to me, check it out at the email, paranormalportalradio@gmail.com, or, get in touch with me on Facebook, facebook.com/paranormalportalradio. Are two great options to get in touch with us here on the show. But other than that, that does it for me. I hope you guys do wonderful, and I'll miss you, but I'll be back in a couple of days. So take care and sweet dreams.